On ballet's biggest stages, she's known for her graceful steps and for her outspoken activism.
Being a voice for so many that haven't been given the platforms and opportunities.
The first Black principal dancer for the American Ballet Theater, Misty Copeland has spent much of her career defying stereotypes and breaking barriers.
I think it's amazing that when people think of ballet today that they think of a Black woman and they think of me. But I am by no means the first Black ballerina to exist.
In her latest book, Copeland tells the stories of the trailblazing Black dancers who came before her. Black Ballerinas, My Journey to Our Legacy.
I wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for so many that slowly opened doors.
Including one of Copeland's mentors, Raven Wilkinson. A Harlem native, Wilkinson was the first African-American woman to be admitted to a major American ballet company. She graced stages across the country, including in the Jim Crow South in the 1950s.
When I first learned of her story, I think it was the first time that there was a shift in how I saw my career and how I saw what was possible.
Black Ballerinas highlights 25 unsung heroines of classical dance. They persevered despite racism, pushed back against preconceived notions of what a ballerina should look like. Copeland has worked on the research for this book for her entire career.
This is not something that you can Google. You know, that's the problem, and that's the reason I wanted to write this book, was to have true documentation, to write our own history books, because so much of our history as Black women, especially in classical dance, is not documented.
And while the ballet world has traditionally been slow to embrace diversity, Misty Copeland believes change is finally on the horizon.
The biggest steps and movement that I've seen has been in the past 2 years, in the pandemic, which has been a really trying time for everyone, but especially in the arts and for, stage performers. And then after the murder of George Floyd, this has been the most movement in my 20-year professional career.
Copeland says new conversations are beginning to examine what inclusion in ballet might truly look like.
The discussions around the color of shoes that the dancers are wearing and the tights that the dancers are wearing that are representation of their skin color, which is something that has been a conversation but never actually been truly addressed.
With so many performances canceled or delayed over the last year, Copeland is also focused on giving back to her fellow dancers.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I started a relief fund called Swans for Relief, where I brought dancers together from all over the globe to raise money, not just for dancers here in America, but for dancers globally who were, had challenging times financially, keeping food on the table.
Ayana Harry, Pix 11 News.